Okay, thank you for joining us this Selectmen's meeting of August 9th, 2021. Please join me in pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, our first appointment is Kami Bakey, Town Clerk Tax Collector.
It's not you. Kevin's on his way now. I think I scared him when I said that the three of us were going to make all the decisions tonight. Wasn't that a good one? He was on a call for work. He said, I don't know if I can get there. I said, well, then I guess Dawn, Phil, and I make all the decisions tonight.
Hey there.
Hey, Miss Tammy.
Hello.
Do you want the good news or the bad news?
We'll take the bad
Bad
news.
news.
Okay.
Oh, good.
So you know that we enter into a contract with Full Notice every year to research our mortgage fees and notice them when we do liens or deeds.
Okay.
He's been ill, and I didn't realize it, but he didn't send them out. When I did realize it, I talked to someone accountant, I talked to my Tax Collectors Association, and found out that the law changed, and his wife actually sent me the research so she could tell me who all the mortgagees were. I got them out on the 60th day, and Summer agreed, yeah, go ahead. At first he told me that I'd have to restart my whole lien process, but then when I told him that the law changed from 45 days to 60 days, he agreed that I should send them all out. I did. I just want you to be aware that from 2 years from now, we hopefully will not have any issues with the deeding, but it's a slight possibility.
Okay. Now, these are deeds of, for delinquent taxes?
Correct.
Okay.
So it's from last year, whoever
Yeah.
didn't pay, I executed a lien on their property.
Okay.
And then we have, by law, 45 days to notify the mortgagees. That law changed to 60 days
Okay.
this
I got
year.
it. Yeah.
Usually he does that whole process.
Right.
So, but I did get at least the research, so some town clerks didn't get that. But I did send out the mortgagee notices to the best of my ability to every mortgagee.
How many are we talking?
There was only 15, and he did send, she did send me a bill, but they researched, and then by the time, in the period that 45 days, some people paid. There were 39 parcels in all that they researched, but I ended up sending out, some people have more than one mortgagee, or they have an IRS lien, and I have to notify the IRS. So,
Okay. But it only involves 15 properties?
yeah, and like I said, most, like this year, we didn't have any deed properties up for deeds, they all paid, so we had some up for deeding, but by the time the deed date occurred,
They had paid the taxes. Great.
so we'll hope that that happens.
Excellent.
Okay.
On to the good news.
On to the good news. The good news is, I don't know if Susan let you know, I just wanted to reiterate, if she did, that the town of Kingston is now within PCI compliance, that's Payment Card Industries Security, that we've been trying for years, before I even started as a town clerk, to become PCI compliant. Block 5 did it in a matter of hours.
Oh, that's awesome.
And that's it. That's all I have.
So what does that mean?
That means that they can't charge us for not being PCI compliant. It means that our security is up to their standards, and they were notifying me that they were gonna start charging us a monthly fee so that people could use credit cards above and beyond the 2.79% that we give to the processing company because we weren't in compliance with all their security requirements. Block 5 has filled out all the questionnaires, done everything they need to do, and told them we are.
You should have Cindy check with Primex because that compliance factor is huge in terms of reliability for security for the building. So then maybe we'll get a break in insurance. And the same thing when it's time to negotiate the rates for the credit cards, that may make a difference on the rates that we get from the credit card companies. It really is a huge.
I will pass that on.
It may not work, but in the past it has. I've known situations where it has.
Okay.
Okay, it's worth a try.
Thank you.
Great, thanks. Before you go, can I take a personal moment on behalf of the Kingston Days to thank you, Holly, Gail, and Kristen for all the deeds that you
Thank you.
solved? Because they specifically wanted me to thank you guys downstairs.
You are very welcome. It was good. We did, but pretty soon we're gonna be done with the history books, the camp, and the Kingston days. So good.
Then you get ready for Christmas.
Yeah, right. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, Tammy.
Thanks, Dan.
Next up, we have Wayne Young regarding Moore Road.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Young.
It'll be a short meeting tonight, I think. Glad you showed up, at least we're having a meeting anyway. Okay, I'm here because of I just had my property surveyed. Did you look at the plot plan and everything? The what? The plot plan that I turned in?
It's on the table.
It just shows that this, where the town approached my property.
So your surveyor saying that the stone wall that's there is inaccurate?
Stone wall is not there, it's gone. I got pictures of it and everything where the guy was destroyed it. This has nothing to do with just recently, this is back during the Superior Court. Have you read that? Yes. Superior Court, have you read it? Dawn, have you read it?
Yep.
Okay. And you were supposed to go by certain things that were on the road, which I say they weren't done. One is the hot top that was put on the road wasn't put up to 40 tons. Rich, could you tell us, can I ask him a question?
We'll address him. Just,
Okay.
why don't you let us know why you're here?
Okay, I looked around and I found out from the state that the road, the whole 40 ton has to be 40 ton and be 5 inches of hot top. So, I know Rich wasn't the road agent when this Superior Court thing came in, but he did hot top in late October, early November. So I'd like to know if he knows how many inches of hot top was put on the road.
You're talking 26 years ago?
Does it matter? Still,
Yes, it does.
no, it doesn't. Superior Court.
I know.
This doesn't go away.
Yeah, but if it wouldn't have been done then, if it was done then, why would
That's what I'm asking. Was it done right? How many inches of hot top was put on the road? I say there's no more than 3 inches of hot top, maybe 2.
So what does that have to do with the survey?
It has a lot to do with it. The road wasn't built right first, and the trucks are coming off the road, off the hot top, onto my property, taking the mud, bringing it onto the road, and it's steering dust.
So, we did meet out there
Yes.
regarding this.
Yes,
And,
yeah, about a year and a half ago, if that.
yes. And I do apologize because
Yeah, and I haven't heard nothing since then.
Right. I spoke with the town engineer, and there had been plans drawn up for this at this time in 95, 96, whenever this was. And basically, we were supposed to revisit it, and it is my fault because just basically I didn't follow up on it.
Yep.
And so I owe you an apology on that, as well as Mr. Whitney, both Mr. Whitneys who were there. So with regards to that, that is not something that we forgot about. The issue still persists there, and that needs to be addressed.
So can you answer the question if the hot top was up to 5 inches of hot top, the whole 40 ton? I'd like an answer on that.
So Wade, you're going off memory, 26-year-old memory, so without knowing a core sample, it seems that we put down 3 or 3.5 inches of mix.
I'll pay for the core if you want to do it. I'll pay for it.
On top of the existing pavement that was there.
There was no pavement there. That road has never been paved.
That's not true.
That is true. It's always been a dirt road.
That's not true, Wayne.
Well,
We didn't pave a gravel road. We paved, there was something there.
there was nothing there.
All right.
It was a dirt road. I don't want to get an argument.
Yeah, not me either.
Okay? It's an old stagecoach road. The road was never paved.
Absolutely. It's an old stagecoach road, 33 feet wide. So, so I was road agent in 96.
You didn't put the hot top down. I remember that. I'm not blaming anybody. I'm not blaming the selectmen. I'm not blaming you.
So this has been going on since probably 1966?
A lot longer before that.
Probably.
I've been living there 70s. I moved in 1976. It's been going on.
So sometime around 94, 95, 96,
Like,
there
we went
was
to court.
problems with the court.
Right, we put a weight limit on the road. Selectmen did.
Yeah.
Can you finish, please? Thank you.
So, there was, town engineer was Ken Briggs at the time. We looked at the road, came up with a plan through a survey that was done by Paul Nichols, which the town has a copy of. That same plan has been used to flag what we think is the property corners, which disagree with the person that you just said survey your property.
Right. Second.
Almost 4 or 5.
I've had my land surveyed twice. They both come up with the same.
So anyways, there's a little bit of disagreement, and I've been out there with Wayne. He showed me where his guy said the marker should be.
Right.
And obviously the stakes are still there where our engineers said they think the old stone wall marker should be. It's an issue. I'd love to get it solved. I'd love to get it solved. I have my opinion on how to solve it, but
Well, Rich and I have spoken about this, and, you know, the can's been kicked on this for far too long. What needs to take place is full engineering plans need to be drawn up with appropriate drainage, because regardless of whether there's 3 inches, 5 inches, 9 inches, it doesn't matter, because the water's still gonna pool up there, there's nowhere to go. It's gonna create the mud, it's gonna create the dust, it's not gonna fix the problem.
Right.
So, and what I had said to you when we met out there initially is what we need to do is put actual drainage, swale, or not swales, I'm sorry, culverts, and take the water away. But that's gonna require some engineering, and it's not just a hey Dennis job, it's an actual, you know, the plans that we have are a good starting point, but they're not complete.
they're not construction drawings that you can build a road
Exactly.
off of.
I don't even, is there stationing on them? Or?
No.
It's a good concept plan, but and things have changed out there since then as well, so. I guess my request to the board would be to authorize me to contact Dennis and just get at least a working quote on what this is gonna cost to get the engineering done.
So moved.
Second. Okay.
And like I said, the drainage wasn't put in by Superior Court, peer reviewed. Quote's right there. The drainage was supposed to be put in.
And it's clearly stated in there, I'm not disagreeing.
Right. So
And we have a motion at the floor right now to get the
So-
engineering study done so that we can do it right,
Right.
okay?
Further discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Yes.
Aye. Opposed? There's no one else to oppose. Okay, motion carries. So, you will most likely see
In
the
another
town's
10 years.
engineer. No, I mean, it's a
No,
matter of
this is a
record now.
different board.
And, look, again, I apologize for that. It was referred to the town engineer, but he had some follow-up for me, and then it just kind of petered out, and so, we'll get it engineered and we'll go from there.
Okay, no time limit, huh? You can't give me anything. Yeah? When can you do it, Rich?
Well,
In a year?
It's gonna take
We're running out of time this time of year.
You
How about a year?
You gotta appropriate the money too?
Yeah, we have to do that.
by August 15th of next year, we'll be further along on this, I promise. No, I mean, look, it depends on what he comes back with, because if he comes back and there's some, spotted freckled toad that, requires habitat relocation or something like that, I can't guarantee you that.
You have any idea is he gonna try to think he's gonna take land down there? Because I know people aren't gonna give up their land.
Well, okay, but that was a matter of discussion that we had.
I know
previously.
that. But I talked to people too. I talked to Brox. I mean, he ain't giving any his land.
Well, that's eminent domain, right of ways for the town. That's resolved in court. That's why I'm not gonna commit to.
He told me I was crazy if I gave up any of my land.
Nobody's asking you to give up your land. If
Well, yeah.
purchase,
Okay, whatever. I know what you mean.
Okay, well, you can't have it both ways. You want the road fixed, or you wanna keep all your land?
I'm just telling you, you're not gonna get the land off the other people. I'm just telling you. I already told you, I'm willing to give you
Yeah, and I thought,
2 feet.
I mean,
But you're already taking 2 feet
Well,
by that. So is that enough?
well, I mean,
So you want 4 feet?
we can
Negotiate.
war game scenarios all day
Negotiate,
long,
right.
what could happen, but we'll get it engineered and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
because no decisions can be made until you get it engineered, then you know what you're dealing with and where the problems lie, correct? So until we get it engineered, there's not much we can do, but we gotta get it done. I understand, I agree with that.
Well, your engineer, what your engineer did last time, he just come down and saw a stone wall way off the road, so he took a stick, put it on there and he wrote a stone wall on it. My engineer came down, he asked me, he says, Wayne, what's these sticks, what are they standing for? I goes, I have no clue.
Your engineer or your surveyor?
My surveyor, he's an engineer too, so,
No, he isn't.
well,
And he's not a very good surveyor for that matter.
okay, that's your opinion.
Been borne out on multiple occasions for me, but yeah.
Okay, that's your opinion. I've hired 2 engineers, and they both come up with the same, my boundary mark is right there, right in the hot top. So,
Okay, well,
I don't own
again,
the hot top, just like the stone wall, I don't own the stone wall. Okay, the stone wall is the town's and mine. No one can touch that stone wall, cannot move it without permission from both sides. Nobody can touch that. I got a, I don't think I have it. Yes, I do. 1791 law, amended to protect stone walls. That's back in 1790 something. And I've read it in here. If I found you guilty of taking my stone wall, I can go after you for 3 times the price of that stone wall. Plus, lawyer fees and court costs.
okay, are you accusing the town of removing the stone wall?
Yeah! Who do you think did it? You don't know?
I don't.
Well, I got pictures. Did you look at the pictures? The town of Terramillo is the ones that did that road. It's right in the corridor between Terramillo and the town. Supervision of the town.
Okay, you're all over the map here, Wayne. What do you want? You want us to replace your stone wall? Do you want us to fix the
I
road?
want the stone wall put back. I want the stone wall put back.
Okay.
Or compensate me for it, for I can put something up there. I asked Rich. I had the land surveyed, and he recommended me not to put anything out on that road. don't know why, it's my problem, my way. Well, doesn't matter, I'm talking to you. He recommended me, and then I told you that he recommended me, and you told me the same thing. I wouldn't put anything out there. Why? With the truck gonna run into it? So they have the right to run over my truck.
So you think a pile of rocks?
I'm not gonna put a pile of rocks.
I mean, okay.
I'll put Jersey barriers up if I have to.
Okay, well, have fun with that. I mean, did you guys try putting a bus in the road before? And
I can park my truck out there if you want me to.
that's not what I'm saying at all. You're talking about putting boulders and Jersey barriers and trucks.
I
in
didn't
the
say
road.
boulders, I didn't say anything about anything. I said I can put Jersey barriers up. I can park my truck out there. It's registered. I mean, they're coming down the road without unregistered vehicles. They're going out onto the state road with unregistered vehicle. And I don't know why. They got a sweeper. I think they used it once since they got it. It's an unregistered vehicle. No one's enforcing that law. I know I'm all over the map. I can't tell you everything what's been going on for the last 40-something years. But I gotta try to throw it all in right now.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll wait to hear from you, from the engineer. You can keep that, I don't need it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Yeah.
Good evening.
Okay, that brings us to our first public comment of the evening. Anyone from the public has any comments? This is your time. Seeing none. Committee liaison reports.
Recreation is trying to raise money for the playground. We do have things to buy bricks. I'll leave for Kingston days, but the cow patty went off great, little hiccup. But it still went off good. I personally would like to thank everyone that organized Kingston days. The crowds were there. It was a good time for people. And then I don't have anything else. Sorry for being late.
Did we send a letter of thanks to those who donated for the fireworks?
Well, we just had it. It's been 36 hours.
Did you do that last night?
No, I didn't do that last night, not at all. But let me get into Kingston days, because I got a few things to say. Are you all set?
I'm all set.
Okay. No, Chief, we didn't send a letter yet to the firework, but we should. I was going to ask Susan to do that, to send a letter on behalf of the Kingston Days Committee, thanking the individuals that donated the fireworks on Friday night. It was extremely well attended, and we're very thankful for the donations and the fireworks. The Kingston Days Committee also wants to extend its appreciation to Rich St. Hilaire and his crew, to Chief Peller and his crew, to Chief Briggs and his crew, for all the help through Kingston Days weekend, because everything went off relatively easily, quietly. There weren't too many glitches that, I'm not aware of any, to be honest with you, but every department head I spoke with said that everything went extremely well. The cow deeds sold well. After all, we didn't sell them all, but we did pretty good in that. We won't know until tomorrow what the proceeds from the carnival, so we won't have by our next selectmen's meeting, we'll have an accurate accounting of how much we cleared or not, as the case may be. But the committee itself did a yeoman's job, in my opinion. Carol Carbano and Charlotte Vinciguerra as co-chairs did a great job leading the team. Donna Delacour, who coordinated all the entertainment, was able to hire the entertainment without paying them in fees, but provided some free refreshments and pizzas, and so that worked out really well. They had tip jars for people to contribute. It's my understanding that some of the performers were really very, very good, and there were some local people and local talent that went well. So all in all, I think it was a successful event all the way around. Revision Energy, on that promotion, on the presentation we had a couple of weeks ago, I forwarded the link to their website and the copy of the PDF file I sent it to Tom Ambrose, Superintendent of Schools, and Matt Angel, the Business Administrator, so they can have a chance to look at it, because we'd like to bring them in and, you know, as part of the task force that we will need to form to follow through on this. In my conversation with Matt, he said we might want to look to talk about fuel oil, and any way we the town could tag on to get another discount through the school. We can't get for fuel oil. We need to talk about ways we can maybe save some money. May not be able to. We don't go through the volume or purchase the volume that they do at the school. So that was just something else that had come up. Let's see. Bank. Are we going to change our bank account to the new guys?
I spoke with Cindy about that. She was waiting for them to get settled in there, and
Okay.
typically they approach her about those things, basically because TD, even though they left town, they have stepped up immensely as far as a courier service and things like that for our current bank.
Gee, I wonder why.
Well,
I do know that the new bank is meeting with Cindy
Oh, okay.
this week or next week, because I had a conversation with them they were out there on Kingston Days.
yeah, I spoke to her 2 weeks about it, but 2 weeks ago about it, but she had questions about, you know, services that they offer that sometimes smaller banks don't have, so.
Okay. And the only other thing I'm going to speak with Tom Ambrose to get an update on the seminary property and what's happening there. Because there is, I guess there's some reconfiguration of the science building, which everyone else told them they should probably tear it down, but whatever. Anyways, they're refiguring the proposal, and I suggested that they need to start to Tom, that they put a plan together and go start the planning board process, so then we could flesh out any problems accordingly, and that's the place to do it more than anywhere else. But, you know, I just want to let you know that I did talk with Tom about that, and we're going to kind of follow up. I will follow up on it. And that's all I have.
The property on New Boston Road that we went down and looked at, with the Nature Conservancy, has control. We spoke about maybe looking at the Kinney property for water rights and so on and so forth. So before the Conservation Commission contacts them, do we want to have a discussion on, are we interested in the property, Kinney's property, for town use?
It's on 111?
No, it's up on New Boston Road.
Oh, New Boston. Oh,
That's
okay.
that piece that he wants to sell. I think Rich, you came in, a couple months ago, told us about it.
Yeah.
And we looked,
In non-public, I believe.
That's right,
In non-public, I believe.
okay.
Oops.
Well, they've asked me to speak to the board about it, so, that's something we may want to consider.
I guess we should add that to that list for the Santa Claus Fund.
Do they have a number yet?
Yeah, well, no one's approached Mr. Kinney yet to ask anything like this.
I think we should carry that non-public.
Is that all you got?
That's it.
Okay. All right, old business, conservation projects, along what you were saying. I only made it to the first one. So I guess we can start there. We did receive a letter from, as owners of 60 Green Road, we are not in favor of further development of the proposed carry-in boat launch. The proposed site opening to the pond is also where snowmobiles access the pond in winter. Blocking the entrance with boulders to ensure carry-in only will force snowmobiles further up Green Road to access the pond. We are informed that the launch will be able to be used by anyone in the state of New Hampshire. The influx of people with social media hidden gem could definitely cause many issues of my everyday passage on Green Road that my family has been maintaining for over 25 years. Thank you, Patrick and Shirley Murphy.
And we also had one from the Rogers family as well that was in our packets, I believe.
say, are we talking about that? Or?
Here, let us hear.
So I'm just gonna summarize here. That area, they're not in favor of it. That area the Beaumonts is recommending for is off of a narrow right of way, poses many issues with traffic, with the most important being access for emergency vehicles. Should the need arise, more than one vehicle on the right of way at any given time makes a traffic jam. If an oversized ambulance, fire truck, or other emergency vehicle needs to get there, there would be no way to even maneuver around cars that were pulled off onto the side. Trash is a concern for them. So one of the things that was said is people were concerned about parking off the road, which wasn't what was proposed. It was to park in the parking area. They could drop off their boats, park in the parking area, walk back. And one of the suggestions was that if someone was parked in the way, the vehicles, they could contact the police. They feel it is an unrealistic and unfair request to make. Not only is that not a way they want to spend their time, but they also make their property subject to retaliation. Yep.
Well, I understand the abutting residents' concerns. Unbeknownst to me, until the Conservation Commission came to us recently on this matter, we own 900 feet of frontage on Country Pond. That, you know, is our only access to Country Pond. I mean, 2/3, I believe, of Country Pond is actually in Kingston, and no one even knows it or can access it or use it. Except for those residents. I think Conservation has done a very good job of presenting what they would like to see done and how to safeguard those, the property and protect the residents that live there or make it as less inconvenient to them, but to keep it under the rug and not let anyone use Country Pond, you can't get any easier than doing car dock carriers. It's not big enough for a boat launch. You know, I didn't know about it before, so ignorance is bliss. Now that I know about it, I can't see 4 residents who obviously have a concern, leave it to them and only them to be able to access Country Pond when it is town land. The town owns that land.
But do we have access to it?
What?
That road that goes in gives us access to it.
Yep.
I believe the town owns a majority of the land off of the road as well.
Yeah, maintains that road.
Yeah, that was all recycled asphalt that is down there is what the town put down. The road is in great shape actually, considering.
I mean, I get their concerns of dumping and everything else, but I think this opens up more where the more people that are gonna go there are gonna report the illegal dumping or more eyes, versus it being quiet or whatever. I would really, I understand your point, but I can't see turning a blind eye to a gem for the town to use. And yes, some other people may come from other places. It's not, you can't isolate, all the properties to Kingston residents. They're listed on state maps. It's built with, Southeast Land Trust money and everything else,
Well, Southeast Land Trust didn't put any money into it.
It's
the L-CHIP fund, and the L-CHIP fund has regulations that state that it has to be open to New Hampshire residents.
Right.
It's
Anyways.
supposed to be open now.
Right. That's
Yeah.
exactly it.
Technically, it's supposed to be open.
And the signage that we found was illegal, and I get their concern, and I'm not trying to minimize their concern, but I think there's a way that we could meet the needs of the residents and their needs as well.
I agree.
And I think, there's been numerous properties that the town has opened up to use after purchasing it. Not every resident who abutted that property was in favor of it at that time, and some of them are still opposed to that, and I recognize that concern, but I think it's unrealistic for the town to conserve property and then not allow the people who paid for it to use it.
Right.
So is that a motion? Well, I was gonna say, before we do a motion, I think what I would put back on the Conservation Commission is to finalize what is actually gonna be done there. What final signage will we have? What will be the rules and regulations there, and have an established protocol for how that's supposed to take place, and then we can vote on it. The one thing I don't want, I feel that these concerns were valid.
Yeah.
And the other part that was brought up there that I didn't see in there is someone asked about the liability on the town. Should someone, fall in the water and drown? I don't think there's much, but I think it's worth researching with our insurance carrier just to make sure that everything's fine on that.
I think, like you said, we could even add in, their concerns about those rocks that conservation want to put. Do we want to do it, not want to do it? How many trees are we going to take down to make the turnaround there? And even a little cutout of the road so that 2 cars can pass at a certain, couple of spots we talked about. So I think that's a great idea, is let's get the plan on paper before we finally approve it.
And I think, one thing I'd like to see is in lieu of boulders is perhaps tree planting to kind of narrow that up so it maintains the intent of keeping it cart top only boats, but it still allows access for snowmobiles to get in and on and off the lawn. So Don, you mind bringing that to them?
I certainly will.
From there, I'll hand it off to you guys since I was sitting on the side of the road when we were fixed
The
up.
next thing we went to was the Sergeant Road property. They already have a pretty decent plan. Rich was with us and he looked at it. I think it's a pretty simple fix. And I think the highway department is willing to take it on when they have time to do it, but it'd be a pretty simple fix to access that land. And I think that's kind of a no-brainer, to be honest with you. I wouldn't be opposed to voting on that one.
That's the one off New Boston Road, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next to John's.
Yep.
I have seen that one, and I think that would be good all around. Those guys have been great offering up the white goods and metal disposal there, and that'll be good there.
So because that used to be class 5 road, I can actually spend highway funds on that one. If it wasn't a road, I could not spend highway funds, and then I think it'd come out of your funds or conservation commission. So that one you can go on, be careful on the others because they're not town roads. And I can't spend highway budget on anything other than town roads. So just be careful.
So I'll make a motion to move forward with the plans that were presented by Conservation Commission for the Sergeant Road access.
Sure. Okay, we got a motion and a second. Further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
The next piece of property was the Tucker Road property. And my only concern with it was, fairly new at this. I'm going to weigh heavily on our road agent, Rich Stanley, for this. We recently had a couple other residents approach us about Class 6 roads. We had Bluebird first approached us, and then Farmville. And we told those people we couldn't do anything. And I don't want to show any favoritism or anything else with Tucker Road. Having a conversation with Rich Stanley, I wasn't aware that there is no specification for a Class 5 road. Class 6 road, like how wide it has to be or what the makeup is or anything else. I thought if we were going to designate it as a Class 5 road, we would have to widen it, we have to do this, we have to do that, and Rich has told me that that's not the case. So I think, and again, I'll let Rich speak, the other stuff that came up, we didn't have all the information. We could allow people at Fountain Road to do what they wanted to do, as well as people Bluebird, what they wanted to do without any cost to the town, it's just a question of labeling the road.
So, after the site walk and after the light clicked on in my head, I called the state to get some more information. Presently, let me go back here. I'm sorry, I gotta switch screens back and forth. Presently, the first 1,256 feet of Tucker Road is, according to the state, is classified as a Class 5 road. I called the state, the folks that set up block grant money, and asked for a complete list of all town roads, Class 5, Class 6, Class 4. According to their, remember 1256.64 feet is Class 5 roads. Get back here. So, 0.238 miles is that 1,200 feet. The state lists that as Class 5, and the remainder of the road is Class 6, which is 0.671. So, give you a little history. Tucker Road, George Tucker built his house out there in 1980-ish, 78 to 80-ish. The town allowed him to build a house that was the 1,200 or 1,500 feet in. Sometime around 2000, the Bean's son Owen built a house out there sometime around 2000. The town gave them a building permit because the town maintained the road summer and winter. We graveled the road consistently for the 35 years I've been road agent, taking care of the potholes, cut the brush, cut the tree down, cut the tree out of the road. It's been a town-maintained road since long before I was a road agent. The state recognizes it as a Class 5 road for that 1,267, whatever I told you that number is. I think that satisfies the needs. I haven't actually been out there and actually measured where that 1,265 feet ends up, but I think that more than satisfies the needs so that these people can do their subdivision. We're getting paid block grant money for that 1,200 feet of road every year to maintain it. So that's new information to you guys. I apologize for not having it to you 6 months ago, but.
So can I ask what the status of Bluebird Lane and Farm Road is?
Go back here. Yep. Bluebird Lane, the state has it as a Class 5. Farm Road. .215 is Class 5 and .486 is Class 6. Again, I haven't measured
So
that.
the paved part of Farm Road is the Class 1.
Right.
Probably.
Yeah, but I guess it's a big lot, give or take.
So based upon that, we really don't have to take any action for,
So what you have, go back, more history. There was a citizens group that went through and made some recommendations for Class 5. It was Henry Shippo, if you remember. He went through, I think Ken Weiler was involved. I don't remember who else was on the committee. And I think what we ended up with was basically two lists. One that the town considered Class 5 and 6, and one that the state would get paid for. So I think that's the confusion. And my communications with the state is to make sure this gets all cleaned up in the next few months before I retire. But I think the problem the Beans have, with it being considered a Class 6 road, is not factual. If you look downstairs at the list, I think Susan you get a list of roads, I think you'll find it says class 6.
So we can get
The
this.
state is actually recognized as a class 5. Now, this might have changed when 911 came in here. Remember when 911 first came in and they measured? And that might have been when it changed.
So what does that leave us?
As far as I can see, they go to the planning board, it's up to them by the land.
It's been a class one all along.
So we can issue a building permit.
Yeah.
You can issue a building
It's
permit.
really the only action that needs to be taken.
Right. And my only concern would be, what did Farm Road and Bluebird want that you said they couldn't do, and does that change our opinion of it? That's all.
Farm Road only goes into the end of the hot dog.
Yeah.
That doesn't
But
change.
you're way past that, so that doesn't, and the person who was requesting changes on Bluebird is no longer alive, so I don't think they care anymore.
All right, so it doesn't affect anything, because I just want to be fair across the board to everyone, whatever. Right?
I mean, yeah,
So Robert can issue a building permit.
yes.
Unless we want to change it, officially notify the state of New Hampshire that this somehow got changed in error, and you want it to be a class 6 road.
No, you're right, that could get changed.
I don't think that's what you should do, because like I said,
Yeah.
for 35 years, I've plowed that road. I haven't, but my guys have plowed, maintained, plowed.
I sat on the board when it did get changed, with Henry Chabot.
And there's another.
There's a few jokes in there, but I'm not gonna go.
That got changed years ago by that committee.
93, 95, something like that.
92, 93.
Oh, that ain't even that old. Never mind. All right,
I
then.
mean, we've been paid since 92 or 93 as that part being class 5.
I can ask them to do the research to find out when that classification might have been made.
I'm guessing it was 92, 93.
Doesn't
It doesn't matter.
It really
I wouldn't
doesn't.
spend the time doing that.
Yeah.
I would say it falls into the category of, you know, the state takes precedence in this one,
Yeah.
and especially given the history of maintenance by the town, that's.
It seems appropriate.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rich.
Thanks, Rich. Good to go? Any questions on your end?
I don't think so.
Okay. So there is a letter from our attorney regarding the surveys. I don't know if everybody got to read
I
that.
didn't read it yet.
I think it's pretty clear what we should be doing.
Yeah, so I think it's worth calling the auctioneer and getting this going.
Yeah?
Should I call Charles and let him know?
To stop all the other work. Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be.
We get billed in.
Just getting there. Just getting there.
No, don't get there. You're done.
Everybody okay with that?
Mhm.
It really makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
No problem with that.
So, and I think that's, while it took longer on this one, I think moving forward, that really frees up our hands as far as liquidating other pieces of town property that.
Yeah.
I apologize it took so long, but we wanted to get this right.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, it is what it is. Wheels don't
Fine.
move that fast, and it's gonna be right and wrong, you know?
So at this point, you want to move forward those 5 properties and follow the process of the public notice,
Correct.
Yes.
notifying butters.
Yep.
Yes.
I would say that for those 5 properties, I would put a copy of this letter in each one of the property files.
Okay.
Since there's no footprints in the snow on this one, we might as well have that a matter of record. That's why that was done.
I think we still have to talk about what we want to set for a minimum bid. For each parcel, I think we need to talk about, we have to have that conversation with, you know, we can get the auctioneer and all that stuff, I think we need to figure out what our minimum bid is.
Do we want to, I'm sure the auctioneer has a lot of experience in liquidating these types of.
It don't hurt to have his opinion in it.
Yeah, that's what
But
I'm saying.
like, we already incurred costs for some of the surveys that were done. You know, I think we have to figure out, like I said, what we're gonna take for a minimum.
Do you want to compile compile our costs thus far.
Yeah, I could do that one with Susan and figure out where we're at.
The only one I know of was done was the one.
Yeah, but you don't know where the bill hasn't been sent to us
So
from
we don't know
Charlie.
what work he's actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would call Charlie first. And
But even then, so the one that wasn't done, we have an assessed value for it, so we wanna have an idea of what we want it to go for, you know?
I mean, I don't think we ever looked at this as a revenue driver. It was more just
No,
liquidating.
absolutely not.
problems.
We're looking to shift liability or get rid of unneeded property, but I don't wanna also give stuff away, you know? There's gonna be a minimum price, that's all. Whether it's 5,000 or 500, I don't know, but it shouldn't be my decision or an auctioneer's decision. I think it needs to be this board's decision.
Right, but I think if we have the auctioneer's opinion and knowing our actual basis, cost basis, and the,
Okay.
you know, we can base it on that.
All right.
Okay, ARPA.
This is the first time I've seen this, so it's looking like we could do a lot with this.
I would suggest that we bring it up and discuss it at the department head meeting at the end of the month and check it, vote on it then, decide what we're
Yeah.
gonna do with the department heads.
And we have to, when do we put a notice of, that we want to apply for, we don't have to give it what we're applying
We've
for.
all-
That was the one I called you about, to just give me authorization to sign the
Yeah.
future request, so that's been put
Yeah,
in.
so that's been it, that's
Okay.
it.
Susan, you've been talking to Danny Hine about?
He reached out to me, I just sent him everything I had as far as information. I know he's looking into expenses that the police department may want covered, so I haven't heard back from him.
You haven't put anything in here yet, right?
But this is just pretty basic, it's just the categories that are eligible and a couple of things we've already talked about, just to start the discussion. And the interesting one is the revenue loss.
Yeah, no kidding.
I've put in a question to the state to find out, you know, which way how to handle that, because the calculation shows our revenue loss as way more than our total award. So depending on what we can pay for with that, a lot of it could come right out there.
Well, I think we should still discuss with the department heads and make a collective decision.
Yeah, they've already given us some ideas that we want
That's
to
right.
explore.
And even Mr. Koppelman had sent something into us that's already included.
It was being thought of, but I appreciate the follow-up.
It just seemed that it was a little unclear during the initial discussion, so
It's okay.
Okay, so when is, the next department head meeting?
The 29th, is that the
It's
last
the
Monday,
30th.
whatever the last Monday in August is?
Yeah, it's August 30th.
August 30th at 9 o'clock.
And the first reporting date is in October sometime, but
Yeah, I think that'll be a good, I mean, we did give the instructions for people to start looking at that with those parameters that we were given, so I think that'll be, we can start hammering down some items. Okay, settlement decision with Consolidated.
yeah, I reached out to them because I don't know, we were talking about ways to mitigate the amount that we have to pay them, and I don't think anything was ever conveyed back and forth. So I talked to Tim St. Ange, who's my connection, and he sent me, it's in the orange folder, the settlement agreement if you choose to agree to it, if you want to further pursue the whole counts and all of that. I'm not sure that's gonna be.
I couldn't find it this evening, and I know I had a printout of it, I don't know if I had an actual email, but when we had our previous assessor look at it, he had a new number.
It was like 2,000 something less for the tax bill for the 1 year.
Is this one here, Susan?
Yeah,
Phil?
2017 is all.
putting a counter offer out there?
What is their offer in there?
Should this be discussed in public since this is a legal matter? No. In regarding settlement? So, since we're gonna discuss specific numbers, I think that should probably be a non-public item.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
no one's signing anything yet.
the public portion of this is that Consolidated Communications felt, well, they didn't feel that the town of Kingston had treated them unfairly. The state has a guideline for how an assessment is put on a pole, wires, underground conduit, things like that they own in town that we tax them on. And they've offered us a settlement for a refund on some of those things because the state had, the Superior Court had appointed a special judge to review this, and this is what they came back with. So it's basically, we're in negotiation with Consolidated to determine how much money is refunded to them or to go to court. And so that's what we'll be discussing in non-public. All right. New business, website, policy question from
Adam,
Conservation, had some changes made to their website page, and it was a little complicated, so I asked Adam to help, and he had a concern about the way they wanted to put up the, QR codes, whatever those things are called, which are already on the website, but they wanted to separate it to their own page. And that's the part he's concerned about.
I think what Adam asking makes sense, but I'd like to run it by Block 5 and see what they say.
yeah, I think that, I understand his concern, Adam's concern about opening it up to everybody, which could, and we are technically responsible for anything that goes on there, so. Block 5 can help us with this, I think that's the best place to go.
I think they can help us from an infrastructure perspective as far as a drive, but who handles our web services, website
It's,
management?
Virtual Towns and Schools, what used to be Civic Plus, I think is the current company. They have their own tech support. Adam can work with them as for the logistics, but I think he's saying he knows how to do it the other way, but it might just be a little more time intensive. And we, want him to do that work. I think that's what he's asking, so if it's okay for him to do it that way, spend the time on it. Lost my page.
Which one is the guy that you before?
Yeah.
Good thing you got me here tonight.
I just had it in front of him.
Andy having you around.
Yeah, sometimes it is.
He wants to know if you want to consider it as a policy not to link to private
Yeah.
accounts.
I think that's wise.
I
I guess
think that is it.
And the additional cost due to additional time required to include the information on our server rather than just linking.
I think wait a second and get an opinion, or?
I don't think it makes sense to link it to a Google Drive. There are severe security issues with them repeatedly.
Right.
But a policy, or what the policy should state, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the reason I was asking about the larger, who manages it, I mean, I know Adam handles our side of it, but I mean, that's been the same website for how many years? There's some
Quirkiness to it. Needs
clunkiness,
clunky,
I
okay.
think is the technical term. The Block 5 guy used it, so I'm gonna use it. But I'm just wondering if we wanna look at potentially updating the website all around to make it a little more user-friendly.
I think that would be something, now's the time to budget for it, to have it, bring in a web designer or something to look at it.
Or I'm wondering if that might be something under the ARPA funds that, as we need to
Better
enhance our
communicate.
digital outreach.
Better communicate with our public. I think it's a simple decision to make and not go to the Google and doing and providing our own links. I think that's a
Yeah.
simple answer to that. Because we do that with the cable, we're responsible for anything, so the same thing would hold true for our website. So, yes to Adam's question about should we do our own links, yes, I think we should. But we definitely need, upgrading the system would be nice to make it more user-friendly. maybe
So
lot
we
five.
can discuss that at the department head meeting.
Yeah, we could add that to the agenda for the 30th, Susan, please. Thank you.
Board business. Has any consideration been given to reinstating mask mandates or requiring vaccines?
People can wear a mask if they want to wear a mask. We never took it away. We just didn't make it mandatory.
Yeah,
I believe the technical policy is it's recommended by the Board of Selectmen to wear a
Correct.
mask.
That's correct. I'm okay with that.
Recommend it. That's all, yeah.
Not mandated, recommended.
So nothing changes the way we have it.
Right.
It's recommended but not mandated.
Our employees can wear masks if they choose to.
Yeah,
Anyway,
and
Yeah, I
we still may have
understand.
the workplace is set up to be safe, I think, on many levels, so I'm not worried about it. We're not back to where we were a year ago.
Certainly not in New Hampshire.
Certainly not in New Hampshire's, right?
Does that answer the question?
Yes, I just said I would bring it up.
If there are specific concerns, they can reach out to me or Cindy. That brings us to our second public comment of the evening. If anyone from the public? Okay. Correspondence, applications, purchase orders. We have
Contract for the updated aquifer map. That's, Glenn can speak to that if you need any explanation.
So I'm just going to read Glenn's comments on this. Here's the updated contract for the aquifer map, updated work to be done by Dan and Truslow. The planning board okayed it at their last meeting, and I have authorized the PO for Cindy's. Funds are coming from planning board budget consulting line. The final step is for the selectmen to sign it and return.
Do you need any explanation for what that's for?
I would love the Reader's Digest version rather than reading the whole thing.
We have good aquifer mapping, but we don't have a good overlay of the parcels, property parcels, with that aquifer data. And so sometimes it's difficult when looking at the tax map to identify exactly where the aquifer boundary is. And some applications that where that boundary is critical to the use that can happen on that property or lot coverage that can happen and so forth. And so this proposal is to overlay the property boundaries with the aquifer map.
All right.
So how much, what's the contract?
$2,600.
You say again?
$2,600.
2,600?
Yes.
It actually has a bit of an escalator, so it's not to exceed 3,000, which is the way the planning board voted it.
Any issue with me signing this for the board?
No?
Leave request for Susan. What else we got here?
Oh, another fun thing.
Fun neighborhood that must be to live
I
in.
can't imagine. It's probably a lot simpler when they were at cottages for the season.
So there's an inquiry regarding someone who put a apartment over the garage. I guess I won't read that. Okay, we've got $166,000, $480,057 coming to us for block grants for the highway. Is that going to cover it this year, Rich?
That's next year's one.
Oh, that's next year's money. You've already spent last year's money?
What was this year's? Wasn't it 180?
No, it's like, it's within $3,000.
It is? Okay.
164, 167, I don't know.
All right.
And all the money they have left over up there, they haven't spent it yet, they haven't shared it with us yet. I'll be kind this time around.
Does this require any action or just for our knowledge? Okay.
You're gonna like this next one.
Technically, you're supposed to actually vote to accept it because it's unanticipated funds.
Okay.
So actually, there is.
Okay.
I
I
move
thought
we-
there was something we had to do with
I
that.
move we adopt and thank the state for giving some of us money back.
Second. Would you say thank the state?
The state for giving
Say
us
I'm
some of
not gonna
our
vote
money
in
back.
opposition.
It's on my, okay. I'll second the
Editorial comment.
flowerful language.
Okay, motion and second, further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And we can't clean that up.
Motion carries.
Even though there were no forgotten words this time.
Okay, we have the
Ruder.
Associates, Consultants in Acoustics.
Did they measure yesterday this height?
No, they did not. They did 4 times. Had nothing to do with this past weekend, which was glorious, warm, and loud. Just saying.
Why? So I guess when we extended, well, I shouldn't say we, well, I will say we, when the board voted to extend it, we didn't contract the sound thing?
We did, but we didn't have it every night.
Because yesterday, Friday, Sunday, there was a thing on Facebook, it was loud.
That's the complaint that we talked about
Right.
yesterday.
Yes, I understand that, but this was, we did it, I mean, did we set up a number of days to test? No, we didn't.
Okay, no, that's what I'm asking.
We did not. No, they obviously tested 4 times in July, that's what they did.
Yep.
And of course, it probably was raining. And of course, it wasn't that loud. And of course, they knew that the tester was coming around and behaved themselves, just saying. I tried to.
Yes, Mr. Copeland.
I think you're looking at the data that the planning board reviewed its
That's
last
correct.
most recent meeting,
That's correct.
and the applicant was with us at that time, and they acknowledged the fact that the weather wasn't very good during the times that the testing was done, but I think if you look at the data, even though they knew they were under scrutiny, that even with that, the levels were exceeded, not a lot, but they were over. So just a point of information.
And just for my clarification, wasn't there some question as to which zone the sound parameters would be applied upon as far as the single-family residential versus commercial, or, because I believe there's different sound levels within that
Yes.
area.
Yes. And I believe that I don't know if they checked on well, I don't
He
know
said
where
no, they
I don't know
didn't.
where the points were that they checked.
He clearly states that he was at one property, and from that property measured the sound.
Oh, okay.
From all
And that was
four
residential property.
And that was residential, right next door.
Yep.
And that it also says that it reached, the short end was nearing 70. He did near it, yes. But those were, as I said, that month of July was not good weather-wise. They're pushing the envelope, that's all I gotta say.
Well, yes, and that was acknowledged at the planning board meeting, and because I believe the select board had given until August 17th, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
the planning board didn't take any action on that particular item of the site plan review. We figured we'd wait until the end of the period that you had awarded them, and with the understanding that there would probably be some additional testing between last Tuesday and the upcoming 17th. But
So the planning board did retain someone to continue testing?
we did not.
Oh, okay.
Well, who hired Ruger?
I thought it was the select board. I don't think the.
I just wondered because it was addressed to the planning board, so.
I didn't think we had, I think it went through Alan.
Because I think it was through the escrow that they had posted.
Really?
Correct.
Yeah, I didn't contact them, I think,
Yeah.
I think because of where the money was coming from.
But we want it tested in a night like a weekend like this weekend, this past weekend, because otherwise we really won't get
Right.
a true read. I think no matter what, they're gonna be investigating, but either.
Well, I really haven't been involved in the actual logistics of that testing and the contracting for it, so I can't speak to it, but.
Could I suggest you check with Mr. Greenwood, because Alan, I think, is away now, so,
Yes.
okay. Thank you. Whoa.
Okay,
Approval of minutes,
approval of minutes.
so moved, public and non-public.
I have something I saw that. I'll wait for Susan. The Jericho Road section. The 9th paragraph down. So Selectman Coombs said that although he appreciates the pattern and behavior point, this is a criminal matter which took place on private property and has nothing to do with the town. I just said it wasn't germane to that topic. I don't think I said it had nothing to do with the town, because I know the police were investigating the matter.
Okay.
So,
Oh, I got it different. I say that you said it merely as courtesy of the town.
no, this was regarding the criminal activity, gender revealing.
Oh, there it is, okay, yeah, okay, so, how do you want us to read?
It's not germane.
Not germane to the topic at hand,
Okay.
because the town is still involved with the police and the fire. and all that.
So there was blast today.
Wait, before you go there, did you seconded my motion?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Okay, any further discussion on the minutes? All those in favor?
Aye.
I'm going to abstain.
One abstain.
So Graham went out today on the latest blast.
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
Any issues?
Okay. Good, what do you think?
Okay, so minutes are approved. That will conclude the public portion of this evening's meeting, unless anybody else has anything for public. A couple items to discuss in non-public.
I think we got a couple legal,
2 legal, 1 personnel.
And the,
3 to read.
yeah.
Okay. I get a bug out by 9 o'clock, I apologize.
If we're here by 9 o'clock, I thank for your service to this board.
I'm just saying, sometimes, sometimes I get long-winded.
Maybe make sure we're all.
So I'll make a motion to go in non-public.
Motion made.
Second.
Okay, Ellie seconds. All those in favor, roll call vote?
Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay,
I'll be off the air next week.
Confirmation from.
I spoke to each of you, but we can talk, I know this is public, non-public, it's a personnel thing. The code enforcement officer resigned.
Yeah. I was gonna say, let's give them this, but the Wadley Point,
You can't.
He felt that with the new position and without specific guidance